I turned it off. Jesus.
You were terrified?
There he is.
Hi, Harvey.
How you doing,
guys.
Harvey?
How are you?
Pleasure.
Pull up a mic. We're on. Yeah. We just do it like this. People walk in. We talk. We were just watching some crappy magician. You know that magician that gives away all the magic tricks on TV?
Who's that?
You see that guy?
No.
The masked magician.
He debunks all the things that we believed were true magic, and it's heartbreaking.
Yes. It's terrible. Yeah, well. So you're here, and you have a movie out.
The Intouchables,
Yeah.
which I saw last night.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know was a foreign film until there was something about the opening scene. They're driving very quickly, and I'm like, it just doesn't look like America. And then they started talking in French, and I'm like, good call.
Wow, you are sharp.
Yeah, I really am. 5 minutes into the subtitles, I'm like, wait, this is probably not going to change. But how would you describe the movie? I liked it a lot, because I had no idea what it was about. I had no synopsis of it, no idea what to expect, and I thought it was great.
It's a true story, and it's the world's biggest comedy. People all over the world are seeing this in record numbers. You know, people. It is in French with subtitles. We're thinking about doing a remake, but it's a true story of this race car driver, this billionaire, you know, who loses his wife. He crashes his car at 180 miles an hour, and he becomes, he has no feeling from the waist down. He doesn't want to hire anybody, you know, to take care of him who pities him. So he finds this street kid, you know, and together the relationship is anything but caretaker and patient. They go out, find girls, they jump out of airplanes, they drive race cars, they get in trouble with the police. It's just a wonderful, fabulous, true story, and you watch this movie and you feel great. I wouldn't promote this movie unless I 100% really felt the audience would just love the film and feel great seeing it.
Yeah, it's the second biggest movie in French history. Like, it's made. It's probably going to do $500 million by the time it's finished. It's done like $340 million worldwide.
Wow.
And like this guy, he plays a quadriplegic. And there's a scene where the guy comes in and he's looking just to get on, I guess, to get what the equivalent of unemployment is in France. And the guy's just kind of being a dick. He's just going, could you sign this? I just want my benefits. And for some reason, the fact that he's kind of talking abusively or like an asshole to the guy in the chair, he likes that.
Oh, really?
He's like, he's the only one who's not showing me compassion or pity. He's the only one who's talking to me like a real person. And they had this really weird bond, and he hired him. And it was great, man. All right. I cried a little bit.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I really hated it too, because I'm like, I know they want me to cry, and I dropped a tear. I was like, oh, you asshole.
You did you?
I fell for it.
Jimmy's a sensitive guy.
It's romantic and it's funny and it's a true story. And I'll tell you, you know, the scene where we throw the guys out of the airplane. This in the real movie, you see the footage at the end of the movie. These two guys were crazy. They jumped out of an airplane, you know, the real guys that it's based on. And we had that footage. We used the little homemade footage at the end of the movie. So our two actors, you know, we waited and waited. We shot the entire movie. Last day we said, come on, we'll take you up on the airplane. They figured it's going to be the typical Hollywood. There's going to be 75 stuntmen. You know, we're just going to shoot their close-up. We said, no, we're going to throw you out of the plane. They go, what happens if we die? We said, we've got enough footage to cut the movie together.
It's already,
we're going to dedicate the film to you guys. And we threw them out of the goddamn airplane. That is not CGI. That is those two guys scared shitless, if I can say.
Wow, and they've
out of the plane. There's nothing. It's just the cameras on them. There's no cutting, nothing. You're watching two frightened human beings.
Wow.
Out of an airplane.
Now, who would you use in the remake, or do you not know yet?
Well, I signed Colin Firth to play the billionaire.
Wow.
You know, so he's done, and I got Paul Feig, the director of Bridesmaids. So there's a twist with the girl in the movie. There's a very sexy girl, and then there's a twist on her. So there's a lot of girls who want to play that part. You know, and
right. Yeah, the redhead.
Right, the redhead.
Yeah. She's hot.
She is hot, and you know, like me, you know, I think it's anybody from Jamie Foxx, Chris Tucker, Chris Rock. Sway told me he wants to do it.
Oh yeah, I bet.
You know, and
I'll do it. I'm not black, but I mean, I can play up any accent you need. It looks like
you mean you're willing to leave this show and come to Hollywood?
Right.
Well, just
make out with like beautiful women if I cast it.
I'll make out with Jamie Foxx or Will Smith if you wanted me to. I'm desperate, Harvey. But yeah, it's amazing when you hear about a remake. It's like you immediately start thinking, who are they going to use? And of course, Will Smith is the go-to guy, but I think he's probably too old. And, you know, maybe not too old, but, you know, this seemed like a younger dude, like a 25-year-old guy.
Cock blocking in front of
Yeah, you're right.
Harvey. Jesus. He's like, I was thinking of, but, you know, Jimmy said he is, and I think he might be right.
I'm only saying this seemed like a young, streetwise guy who's like 25 years old.
You do need a young guy.
Oh, man.
But Chris Tucker, Chris Rock could do it too.
Chris Tucker's doing stand-up again. I've been seeing him at the Comedy Cellar. It's like you hadn't seen him for a while, and he's like starting to get back into stand-up too. So yeah,
I just did a movie with Chris Tucker, and he is fabulous. It's funny, and also, it's a movie with Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, and Bob De Niro. It's called Silver Linings Handbook. He is great in the movie, and I had a really, really good time working with Chris. And he is doing stand-up.
Is he?
Yeah. Quentin Tarantino and I were gonna once wanted to film him. Whatever. I told Chris this story, and I'll tell you guys. It's the first time I ever said it publicly. So Quentin and I say, okay, Chris, I'll produce it. Quentin will direct it. And Chris said, great. I said, we'll just do 50-50. Quentin and I will split 50. You take 50. It's your stand-up. He comes back to it, goes 90-10. Him.
Whoa.
I said, I haven't worked for 5 since I was in junior high school. And Quentin Tarantino, you're giving 5. So I've never, ever let Chris Tucker, if you're listening, forget this.
Wait,
Wow.
did he blow a chance to have you and Quentin do his
stand-up?
Oh, my God. How do you say?
Why do you do that? Why do you do it?
You're sure he meant 90
I'm so
his
sure.
way?
I'm sure it's going to go 90-10 my way now.
Yes.
Wow.
He hears this radio broadcast.
Oh, is that a
he'll be
screw-up?
signing on the dotted line.
Wow.
Yeek.
I mean, you always try to get a little, because they always
A
get
little
you
more, right?
on stand-up. They always get you on distribution fees. That's how a lot of the companies do
He
it.
knows
like,
every.
Oh,
Can you
yeah.
come to work for me after the show?
well, I'm a stand-up. Believe me, I've been fucked pretty good.
But you get these guys like Tommy Mottola used to be a musician. He run the record company. Jimmy Iovine, whatever. You could come and work for me.
Well, what they
Can
do,
we find somebody? Was there somebody you have in mind, or you want to just go solo?
I'd be like
Yeah,
the hacker
I'll
who goes
just
after
go
other
solo.
hackers.
Do you think they'll pay you his
You could
salary
leave. You
too?
could just leave me in the dust as you
Yeah.
go to Hollywood, Jimmy.
My
Great,
salary
thanks.
is shite. Believe me, I'm easy to pull away from him. No, what they do is like when they say like we'll split the DVDs with you, we'll split it 60-40, But on top of that, there's a distribution fee, which kind of like a vig comes off the top, which
Wow.
again is very standard. I mean, everybody does it. So
Businessman.
Yeah, we just went to
You
batch.
ought to give your card to the entertainers when they're on this show.
Yeah.
You know everything about, or just open up a law firm.
No, but you know what? I would just kind of go in and say that, and they would just find a way to talk around me because we still got fucked on it. They're like, yeah, but we don't change it. Like we knew about it. They said we were the first. I'm the first comic to ever ask about it. And they're like, yeah, but we got to do it. We don't change
Yeah,
it.
but we're going to still fuck you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like when you're going to get electrocuted. You're like you're going to pull that switch and I'm going to die. And they go, yeah, that's what's going to happen. And there's really not a whole lot you can say about it.
Oh my God!
People, they're not going to exactly.
I think people are very, I guess, not very knowledgeable about what you do. What is it that you do in the movie industry?
Well, I do a number of things. I guess the thing that I do most well known for is I'll find the book, like this book we were talking about, Silver Linings. A woman who worked for me said, read this book. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I read the book, loved it. We bought it. We hired David O. Russell, who we also co-produced The Fighter with, to write the script, direct the movie. We went after people. I was involved in the casting with Bradley and Jennifer, and of course Bob De Niro. You don't have to be involved, and you just pray and hope you get him.
Yeah.
And Chris Tucker, and we put the project together, and we hire all the people. We get the financing. We produce the movie. And it's an art, producing the movie, but it's just because, it's tied into money and financing.
It does seem very business.
And you see 27 names sometimes. I go, wow, produced by 27 people. You don't realize who actually does the work. The 26 other people are the guys who wrote the check.
Oh,
So,
okay. Wow, there should be a distinction between the person that actually has to know the talent, know who's going to work in this movie well, and the guy that's just writing the check.
They're starting to do that now
Are
with the
they?
Producers Guild. They're doing a little mark thing. That does distinguish it. And then very often, like this, in the case of this, we read the script of The Untouchables. They were making it in France at the time, and we came in. We loved the script. We saw some footage, and we bought the movie for a bunch of territories. So in that case, we're acquiring movies and distributing movies.
Have there been any that you, because you're known as a very ballsy guy, like you'll just go out and grab something and you make a lot of amazing, smart moves. Has there been anything that you like Chris Tucker will look back on that and go, God, that was really a bad move on my part? Like, is there anything?
Especially when he hears it today.
Yeah.
It was not a bright move, and I don't really know him well, but that's the first thing I'm going to say if I ever see him again. Hi, Chris, what the fuck were you thinking? Is there anything that you passed on that you look back on and go, man, we probably should have taken that one?
I missed the first 5 minutes of La Femme Nikita at a screening, the French movie that Luc Besson did.
Right.
And I'm 5 minutes late for a screening. It taught me a lesson for life. Always get there 5-10 minutes early. So I missed the first 5 minutes, and the movie made no sense to me. So they gave it to me on a silver platter, and I said, I don't get it. And then I realized the first 5 minutes is you see what she's screwed up. She's out of her mind. She goes in and robs this store because she's a street person dying for dope. And then they train her to become an assassin. So I missed the setup. And then it made no sense. I'm just watching this girl and she's training and I'm going, what's the big deal with this?
Right.
That's like missing the first 5 or 10 minutes of a Columbo episode.
Exactly.
That's when the crime is done. And if you miss that, you might as well not watch it, because then he's trying to solve stuff, and you're like, I don't even know what happened.
Although the giveaway is whoever Columbo talks to in every other scene.
Yes.
That would be the guy that did it. I missed the first 5 minutes, but he's talking to Johnny Cash for some reason.
There's no reason.
But he shot his wife.
Believe me, Martin Landau isn't here as an extra.
So it's the biggest star
Right.
is the murderer.
That he's talking to.
Jesus, I never figured that out. God, I got it.
Yeah.
I should have called you on that one.
Yeah, I'm a Columbo expert. It's kind of my thing. Just comedy's not really panning out, so I do Columbo panels and people ask questions.
Columbo panels.
What was you obviously you were with Miramax and you left and started the Weinstein Company with your brother. What was it that finally made you go like, I want to go out and do something on my own? Was there something that was happening that you just weren't happy with?
Well, Bob and I started Miramax. Miramax is named after my mom, Miriam, who's 86 years old, and if she's listening, if she's listening to this show, I'm going to have a long talk.
Yeah, we'd be very shocked.
Yeah, I mean, me too. and my dad, we lost him when early, but he was a great inspiration to us. We started the company, and then we made we were sold to Disney, then we made a partnership with Disney, and we just had some fights with corporate management. I'll tell you the truth, guys. We made Fahrenheit 9/11 with Michael Moore, and they hated it. They thought it was like, oh my God, they're going to dethrone President Bush, and we're going to get into all sorts of trouble as a company, the Walt Disney Company, and it just exacerbated. I also brought them Lord of the Rings, which is a project that I developed, all 3 scripts, and they wouldn't finance them. I mean, they got pissed off. It only cost them and me $2.3 billion.
That's it.
Today, I could have owned Sirius. Instead, I'm a guest
Believe me,
on the
we
show.
wish you did.
Oh, we wish.
No, Mel, they're kidding. John Malone, they're kidding.
No.
Greg Maffei, they're really kidding.
Wow, he knows all of them.
Oh, yeah.
They're men I've never met before.
Scott
Scott.
Greenstein, they're kidding.
Scott, I know well.
They are kidding.
So wait, you brought now you don't have Lord of the Rings. Who actually did Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings ended up being produced by New Line. They had the guts, the balls, as you can say on this show, to take that project. We have a percentage of the gross, so we did extremely well.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But it was personal. Disney was so unhappy with the idea of it that they gave Bob and I a personal share. God, and how do you pass on Lord of the Rings? And not only that, we showed him 10 minutes of the technology. The guy who was running it at the time was a guy named Michael Eisner. We showed him 10 minutes of what it looked like with 10,000 extras, in all those scenes. Peter Jackson developed all that. We financed. We put $10 million into financing it. So between Fahrenheit 9/11 and Lord of the Rings, and then we were going to try to do this channel, like a Miramax channel. Scott Greenstein knows a lot about this because he used to work with us. And so I think these 3 things exacerbated, and we just said it's time to go. And I think they thought it was time for us to go too.
You guys were synonymous with.
They weren't
Miramax.
sad. When we walked out the door, there wasn't like tears and.
Did they at least pretend to try to keep you, or they were like the minute you said you wanted to?
No. They made us. They made us a very serious offer to stay. They did make us a very serious offer to stay, but it didn't have the same freedoms that that we'd enjoyed previously. Anyhow, it all turned out for the best.
But you like the idea that you can just go out and kind of grab whatever you want to grab. Like this is a movie that maybe because it's made $340 million, people would go, all right, let's do something with it. But before that, a lot of people might not see this concept and go,
hey,
yeah, that'd be a great
I bought
comedy.
it. It hadn't been released. I read it on a script. I saw footage. The movie had never been in a theater. So it's the same thing like with The Artist last year. I sat I sat and watched a black and white movie. People in my own company thought I was a lunatic. To do that, they said, "Oh, we produced The King's Speech, so it won the Oscar the year before," and they thought with The Artist it was like hubris. Oh my God! Now they think they just did a movie with stuttering that grossed $400 million. Now they're going to do a black and white silent movie. And stuttering is was the action scene compared to having nothing in The Artist, and people told us we're crazy. So right now the movie's up to $160 million worldwide
for a black and
white artist, and won the Oscar and 4 other Oscars.
One of my favorite things about The Artist was the fact that Malcolm McDowell did a cameo. They got Malcolm McDowell just to do a weird little cameo, sitting there, kind of like he was waiting to do something, and he talked to I forget what her name. Oh, Pepe.
Berenice Bejo.
Oh,
Pepe.
what was it, Pepe in the film? And that was all Malcolm McDowell was in.
Yeah.
I'm like, what a great thing to get Malcolm.
But you know, when you work with the director, the guy's name is Michel Hazanavicius, and I'd seen his 2 other movies. He is a genius. You know, he's like a Billy Wilder. He's a throwback to the great directors like Ernst Lubitsch, Billy Wilder. I mean, once upon a time, you used to watch these comedies, and they made sense from beginning, middle, and end, and they were smart and emotional. That's what The Untouchables is a throwback to. You know, I mean, just, you know, it's really smart storytelling. And that's why it's grossed so much money. Even, you know, you see these big special effects movies. 5 minutes in, you're going, Jesus Christ, I've seen that before.
Right.
Yeah.
10 minutes in, you're saying, I'm so bored. 20 minutes in, you say, can anybody act in this movie? A half an hour, and you go, who the hell financed this movie?
Right.
You know what I mean? And you're just going, oh my God, I'm sick of these effects. I'm sick of everything. Can I go now? And The Untouchables is that human storytelling. And, you know, Hollywood doesn't understand it. You make a movie about 2 people who are friends, go through trials and tribulations, and you're laughing your ass off and you're enjoying it, and you walk out of the theater and, you know, you can dance. You can smile.
It's very rare that you'll get a movie where there is good storytelling, good acting. It's so hard to find these days. And I'm not sure how does that play in America? I really I'm so jaded now with the American public and what they find entertaining these days.
Well, listen, if you give it to them, they'll come. You know, this Marigold's movie is not my movie, you know, with Judi Dench and Maggie Smith. It's terrific.
What movie is that?
It's such fun. It's the Marigold Hotel. It's a really charming movie, but it makes sense. The beginning, middle, and end. John Madden, we did a movie with him called Shakespeare in Love. He's a wonderful director, and the movie's a wonderful movie. I think, you know, we market and bombard these big movies because we're looking for a common denominator. And I think, you know, when you know, these small movies can work, and these small movies can become big movies. Look at The King's Speech, $400 million. It cost $15 million to make the movie. Worldwide gross. Look at this, The Untouchables. $15 million movie, $350 million so far. It's what he said. Going to gross $500 million, this movie. And it's doing great in America.
Yeah.
What I liked about it, too, is it wasn't schmaltzy interaction. Like, that's what was surprising to me, was, like, usually he really was fucking with the guy who was quadriplegic, and it was an interaction. Like, that's how somebody who really likes you treats you. And it was an oddly non-schmaltzy interaction, which I liked. The second I saw what it was, I'm like, okay, I kind of know where this is going to go, but I didn't. It was much harsher dialogue and much harsher interaction that I was like, fuck, I'm so happy he said that. There was really, really some great moments in it. And
the guy's feeding the guy, and, you know, the girl walks in the room, and she's got a great butt, you know, whatever. He pushes the guy aside, gets food all over. The guy doesn't give a shit. Whatever. He just loves that butt and loves that girl. And that's what happened. These 2 guys are like that. I met the one, you mean, and they are like that. You know, they are 100%. That was their relationship.
Yeah, and they show them at the end in photos and in video, which is kind of cool. I always like that when it's based on a true story, to see the real people at the end. There's just something about that. Like, okay, they really are.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like it would be such a difficult thing to read through something like you did a script or a book or something, and not just go like, or read everything and go, oh God, that could be a movie. That could be a movie. How do you pick and choose?
I think instinctively, you know.
You just know at this
it's
point.
Good at this point, you know, and you know, it's just it's almost like reading a book. You say, is that a good book or a bad book? How many books have we all read?
You have to look at it in a different way, though. Can it work in a visual medium like that? Which has to just boggle the mind, though, sometimes. Do you still, and you obviously you have a lot of experience, do you still kind of mull it over and go like, yeah, it's good, but...
Listen, you know, half the time if I went through my movie list, you talk about I did a movie, My Left Foot. Does that make any sense? You know, I mean, you know, it's a guy who only has a left foot. Then you add Daniel Day-Lewis to the equation, and you've got something magical.
Yeah.
Look, I don't believe in boundaries or barriers, so I just let imagine it. And, you know, for me, it's just, if we like it, we think other people will like it too. And we're not like, oh my God, if we like it, like we're snobs or anything like that. We want people to go to the movies. I love movies. I love James Bond movie. I love good fun movie. But I like them when they're done well. Like the Bond movies now are done well.
Because
he's amazing, and Judi Dench is
Daniel
amazing.
Craig is
but Daniel Craig's
really
great.
Great Bond.
He's great.
But the artist, like when you think of something like The Artist, how do you look at that in a script and know that because there's one of the best scenes in it. It's an odd scene. It's a I guess I don't know what the name of the shot is, but it's a faraway shot of them walking up and down stairs and kind of hustling and bustling and going about their day. And it's kind of a faraway shot of steps, and it was all done in one shot. And I'm like, what a visual masterpiece this is. How do you read that in a script and go, okay, here, people walk up and down the steps 30 seconds. How does that read in a script?
When you read Michelle's script of the artist, it's so beautifully described. And, Michelle gave me a movie. It's called City Girl. It's by this guy, Murnau, the director. And that scene was a tribute, to the silent movies. You watch some of these silent movies because they couldn't talk. The visuals are so strong, so amazing. Anybody who doesn't, it just on an accessible level, go watch Charlie Chaplin's City Lights. Here, I'll put it to your audience in a way that they'll understand it. I guarantee that if a guy takes a girl and you get that DVD of Charlie Chaplin's City Lights, you're going to score at the end of the night. 100%. This movie is there's 100% guarantee.
I've tried the same thing, but with the kid, it didn't work.
Wrong movie.
At the Comedy Cellar, they show Chaplin's.
That works for Sandusky. That doesn't work for you.
Exactly.
A little horseplay. There was a
Horseplay.
naughty Jerry.
Oh boy.
There's at the Comedy Cellar upstairs at the Olive Tree restaurant above the Comedy Club. They show Chaplin films on a loop, and it's amazing that people. While you're eating, you always see people looking up and getting glued into
but
these
they
movies.
watch 2 seconds of it. Watch City Lights from beginning to end. Whatever. It is so funny, so romantic, and it comes with a guarantee.
Man,
well, you realize how much, too.
Statement.
You realize how much is wasted.
And if the girl isn't interested at the end of it, she's not worth it.
Get rid of her.
She's not worth it. Get rid of her. If she doesn't like that movie, Quentin Tarantino always said to me, the first thing he does is he shows the girl Rio Bravo, the John Wayne movie, and he says, if they can't watch Rio Bravo, it's over. He said,
wow,
there's
that's
no
really
point.
pigeonholing.
But look at Rio Bravo. You think it's just the John Wayne Western? Angie Dickinson is so sexy in that movie. That's a Howard Hawks movie. The guy who did His Girl Friday. The dialogue. You watch the dialogue again in that movie. Everything she says is the hottest come-ons ever in that movie. That's why Rio Bravo's been enduring.
That's the beauty
Not
of
because of the gunfight.
Yeah.
If you're Tarantino, you can do that. You can go, all right, look, I'll bang you, but you have to like this movie. I take what I can get. I watch what she wants to watch.
That's the mistake.
You're watching
Mistake.
Bridges of Madison County.
Whatever she wants to watch. I want Golden Pond. Look, I have a heart on.
Now I know why Nicholas Sparks has a career.
Yeah, but didn't Howard Hughes used to do that too? Wouldn't he kind of like get girls and have them watch certain movies and just kind of make them?
Well, mostly he would make them watch serious. I made The Aviator with Marty Scorsese, so he did a lot of research on Howard Hughes. What Howard Hughes would do is he'd make him watch that movie. That movie was called Hell's Angels.
Oh, right.
He made his his incredible epic of
with
airplanes because he was a great aviator. So over and over and over again, he'd take these girls and they have to watch that movie.
That's odd. And wouldn't he buy up their contracts? Like he was, I guess, because he was OCD and he hoarded stuff. I heard he would buy up their contracts and just kind of keep them on hold.
He had 26 girls under contract on any given day, and he used to put them all over Beverly Hills. And what he would do is he'd hire drivers who were Mormons. Probably Mitt Romney's grandfather. And. Just a joke. And they would drive these girls because they were, quote, religious and they wouldn't interfere. But of course, some of the guys did. And they would be, sometimes these girls would wait 6 months to see Howard Hughes.
Wow. Just sitting there in Beverly Hills somewhere, waiting.
Sitting there in Beverly Hills,
under
waiting.
contract.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. When you got into
guy.
You got into the business. You probably didn't get into it. Say, okay, I'm going to run a studio someday. When you first got in, what did you go like? This is what I want to do, and it kind of became this.
Well, I love movies. I love movies when I was a kid. And I loved baseball when I was a kid. I realized very quickly, that baseball career wasn't happening. And so I love film. I studied film. I went to film school. I studied with this great Dr. O'Grady. And, I just love movies. So, we never envision that it's going to be a studio. You just say, I want to make movies or I want to do something in the movie industry. And I loved to read when I was a kid. I had my eye poked out when I was 11. I was playing some stupid cowboy and Indian game. And coincidentally and good for me was there was a woman next door who was a librarian. She was 72 years old, retired. So I knocked on her door. I said, I'm bored to death. I can't go to school. What do you recommend? And she put me on a reading course. And, she started with these American books and then graduated to international books. And, reading is the key. reading really is the key. You make a movie every day, guys. Just go read some of these great books. You read Gone with the Wind. You read War and Peace. Those are great books.
Yeah.
What do you think makes a lousy movie? Because you see a lot of lousy movies, and without even going into what movies they are, what will you look at in a movie and go like, ugh, this is going to be awful?
The script. I mean, when you hear those incredible lines of dialogue, I don't care if you're Russell Crowe or Laurence Olivier or, Charlie Chaplin, you cannot put crappy lines over. You just can't do it.
How does that stuff get through? Like, because like guys see that and like the actors do it. Like, how does somebody not go like, that's cheesy?
That's terrible.
People are blind. Whenever they read this crap, they think they think as my father would say, they think their S doesn't shine. You know what I mean? Or they think their S shines. It just. They just believe it, and this industry. You probably have this all day long. 6, 7 people telling you how great you are every day.
No,
really? No, come on. You must have
cumulatively.
a posse.
If you want to go like in a calendar year, I'll get 6 or 7, but no a day. No, you're giving me a lot of credit. I appreciate.
What did you think? Because Quentin Tarantino is great at writing dialogue. It's just amazing to watch his movies and watch people just exchange words. There doesn't have to be an action sequence or anything. Just people talking is compelling. What did you think when you first met him? Did he come off as a weird guy?
No, not at all. I mean, he came off as a guy who knew movies, knew cinema better than anybody, and his knowledge is so vast and deep. He named his company Band Apart, which is named after a Jean-Luc Godard movie. This guy knows everything about films. He's an encyclopedia. For a guy like me who went to film school, he was film school. He's really intelligent and a really humanistic guy. But his dialogue is a special effect. There's nobody who can write like Quentin in the movie industry.
Yeah.
This guy can have 5 pages of 2 people talking to each other, eating a pie, and you're laughing and you're scared shit at the same time. And I just came back from New Orleans, where we're shooting Django, the new movie with Jamie Foxx and Kerry Washington and Sam Jackson and Leonardo DiCaprio. If people think Inglourious Bastards kicked ass, wait.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for it. It's like it's a throwback to, because he does a great job with taking some stuff from the past and bringing it up like he did with what the hell was that, the
Inglourious
Grindhouse stuff,
right?
That he did. And this is it's like a throwback to the blaxploitation movies
and the spaghetti
of the
westerns.
70s and spaghetti westerns. Yeah, it looks pretty damn good. And I like Leo.
Leo is
really
about
good.
the most evil thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He is evil personified. He's brilliant performer.
Well, he's not. It seems like Tarantino's not afraid to take like a banal subject and make a real conversation about it. Whether it's gourmet coffee in Pulp Fiction or tipping. And for some reason, the natural flow of the conversation makes it fascinating. And that's what's great, is these guys are talking about tipping. Who gives a shit in Reservoir Dogs? But it's an amazing scene hearing guys speak naturally about something.
To open a movie with just dialogue is amazing. Like, who the hell would think doing that without...
Who the hell can write dialogue
right.
like that?
You would think you want an action sequence to capture people?
But his dialogue is an action sequence. You're laughing and suspenseful at the same time. Who leaves the tip? I mean, who writes like that?
You're throwing a buck. Throwing a buck.
Quentin's an actor too. You know what I mean? So he's a brilliant director, but he has an actor's ear for dialogue. So he can and he can also tell when it's performed right too. It just takes brilliant people to also do that kind of dialogue.
Yeah.
I mean, I was amazed watching DiCaprio because you wonder every time. He's new to the Tarantino family. Sam Jackson, he does it in his sleep. Brad Pitt got it like day 2. And just did it great. Got the syncopation. I swear I watched DiCaprio, and Quentin and I both were like blown away. I mean, the rhythm. He got right into the rhythm of it. You can give that kid a speech, he can talk for a day. You know what I mean? And just watch him talk. Whatever you go, and don't worry, we kill plenty of people in this movie. sex up the wazoo. We didn't forget where we came from.
And in Inglourious Bastards, is it Christoph Waltz?
Yeah, Christoph.
Oh my God,
he's in Django.
Yeah,
too.
He's in Django. Yeah.
To play a funny, Nazi. There was a charm to him, an odd charm in him being a psychopath. Was that written to be humorous, or did he just grab that and kind of make it?
No. It was he said every word, and he said it exactly the way Quentin intended it. Quentin sees all shades of people, whatever. So he I mean, he's the greatest opportunist of all time, Christoph Waltz. I think I think beyond being a Nazi, he's just in it for himself.
That was another sequence that started a movie off. And it was suspenseful and compelling. You were just hooked. You could not. I couldn't imagine going like, meh, take it or leave it. You would just edge of your seat taken. And there wasn't action going on. It was a dialogue between that father and him at that table, and those little things like the milk, getting the milk for him. Just frightening.
And then later on, Christoph Waltz has a scene with the girl when she's all grown up.
Yeah.
And he's eating a pie, and he turns to the waiter and says, "Can I have some milk?"
Yeah.
And the milk comes to the table, and then you're reminded of the milk at the beginning of the scene. I mean, who does that in a movie?
Fantastic,
That's
He's not afraid to let things just kind of sink in. He's not afraid to let things breathe a little bit. I hate to say that, but it's what makes his movies great.
He's synonymous with Miramax. Like, that was a whole...
And now
in the
Weinstein
90s,
Company. He's a very loyal guy.
Yep, apparently
he really
so.
is incredible. We've done every movie together
Gotta
since
have.
the beginning of it.
Good gotta have in the stable.
For me, he's like Babe Ruth. He's the house that Quentin built. We're the house that Quentin built.
That's
I was in one, I believe you guys did Comedian, Seinfeld's movie.
Yes.
And I had one line. This is why I love the
Jimmy.
Weinstein. This is why. Because I had one line in that movie. I was on stage when Sherrod was going to bring on Jerry, and I got a full day's pay for it, and they didn't have to give me anything. They just kind of panned by me for a half a second.
Really?
Yeah, but a lot of people said I was kind of the pivotal point of the film, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I said it. And Seinfeld, in his true moments, said it too. When he wasn't thinking it was him, he thought it was you. Can I tell you something? That to me that bothers me, that movie, because that is a really underrated movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the critics liked it, but the audiences, I don't think, understood what Jerry was just trying to, to take the process of movie making, of not movie making, of being a comedian, of stand-up, and just showing it. And you watch it; it's as good as any documentary. I've done the Michael Moores, I've done Errol Morris, I've done some of the so-called really important, groundbreaking documentaries. But there was something about that just on a me personal level. I know Bob felt the same way. That was just breathtaking to get into that world. He really got you into that world.
Do you think the timing-wise, coming off of a huge show like Seinfeld, people kind of wanted to see Seinfeld?
I think that was it. I mean, at the end of the day, you said Seinfeld as a director.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you just, they were expecting. Yeah.
It was fantastic, though, because there were so many uncomfortable moments in that, too, where you're kind of like, this is the guy from that huge hit show, and it's like he's starting all over again.
Had Marty Scorsese made Comedian, I think the audience would have gone. And you know what? I'm not saying it because I think Jerry did an amazing job. Just
Sure,
if you would have, I think your theory is right. Substitute Scorsese's name for Seinfeld, and then they look at the movie a different way, and then everybody wants to see it.
Yeah.
It was interesting at Governor's, too. Like, this is just so typical New York. He's at Governor's, and they're talking. And it's like, this guy, this is Seinfeld on stage, and he has to scold the audience for talking. I like that he showed that, and that's, kind of what comics have to deal with.
Yeah.
I just don't get on a private plane after I'm done. That's where we kind of part company, but it really was great.
Oh, that's where you part company?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe many other ways. Well, Harvey's promoting, and it's very rare that you go out and actually do all this promotion yourself. So it's great to have you in.
Thank you very much, guys, for having me.
And a true contributor you are to films. It's The Untouchables. It's out now in limited release. I don't know where people can find out where it's playing.
New York. You're playing, New York,
Chicago,
Paris, New York, Chicago. It's playing about 50 cities in the country, and it's going to expand even further in July.
Is it? We're heard in Canada as well.
It's playing in Canada as well too. It's doing great up there.
It's a great movie. It is not. Again, it's not a schmaltzy interaction, and it's based on a true story of a quadriplegic who is taken care of by this inner city guy who is not a guy who would be likely to take care of him, which is kind of why they made the movie, because who would give a shit if it was just a guy they hired who was nice to him?
Now my brother always says, when you hear, like, it's about a quadriplegic, my brother says, I'm definitely not going. So I'm telling you, here, let me do that part.
Definitely.
Did I not sell it right?
Let me do that part. This movie is probably, and I think if you watch it in a theater, it's probably the most uplifting movie. You walk in, forget quadriplegic, any of that stuff. It's just the relationship between two guys from opposite sides of the track, and it's so much fun, and is really an amazing. I mean, you just, like you said, if it can make him cry, just imagine what it does to the rest of the country.
Yes. Okay, so my comparison was not going to be good. I was going to say it's like Lethal Weapon meets Whose Life Is It Anyway?
Much better.
But I'm not.
Much better. Much better.
I love that it's like meets. Yeah, oh boy.
But it really
better.
is great, and it's easy to promote a movie that I genuinely liked.
And Harvey's track record is pretty good.
Tremendous.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll stake my reputation on this movie again.
And
right?
you need to
Good.
do another documentary about comedians. I'm just saying.
Oh.
I'm not pitching myself. Maybe a comedian who's kind of out of shape, who likes transgendered friends. Whatever. I'd be happy to audition for that. But I guess we're done for the day.
Yeah, let's
let me
take
promote
off, sure.
one thing. This Friday,
Oh, yeah.
I'm at the Melrose Improv doing one show at 8 o'clock. So if you're out in L.A., come see me
Go
there.
see Jimmy.
And The Untouchables is out now. Limited release.
Harvey
The great,
Weinstein,
Harvey
thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
guys.
man.
What a
Great to
pleasure.
meet you.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.
We're done.
The Opie and Anthony